All right, let's get into buy low receivers. Obviously, a lot of talk with the running backs. Receivers a little tougher, though, because there's a lot of players who have not been performing at the receiver position. And I think we can make a case for a lot of buy low players. I want to specifically target some players, though. There's not as many sell high guys when it comes to receiver. But as far as buy low receivers, this is a good opportunity to help your team, especially if you did not draft the position very well. I think you can come into a trade talks and really start to be strategic with how you find receivers, especially when it comes to some elite guys or guys that have elite potential. And one of the more notable names that's having a slow start is JaMarr Chase, who, we've been seeing JaMarr Chase. I know I've talked about fading him at cost, and pretty sure you were on the same train, P, as far as fading him at cost early in the year. And he struggled. This is what happens when you hold out, you don't play in preseason, you don't play well early on. Even, you go up against a Christian Gonzalez, you go up against a Trent McDuffie, and they slow your ass down. And it's like with JaMarr Chase, I think the one thing is we know who he is. We know at some point he's going to get hot because he's done it every single year of his career. And we know he's probably going to be a 1,200-yard guy. He's going to be somewhere around 8 to 10 touchdowns. So is it going to pop off this week against Washington? Yes. Your league mate don't know they play Washington this week, but we know they play Washington. And they also have, Carolina, Baltimore, New York coming up. So some matchups where they can be exploited. But once JaMarr Chase goes off, you're never getting him at that price again. It's going to take an injury. It would take an injury to Burrow or him. The minute he shows he has 20 to 25-point potential, the value's solidified, right? There's a reason we're not talking about Tyreek Hill on this show because we already know Tyreek Hill can perform even without – we've seen the ceiling. We haven't seen it for Chase. So sometimes seeing is believing. And when you drafted a guy as a top 5 receiver and he's producing like a wide receiver 3 or 4 right now, I think he's a wide receiver 40 in PPR leagues, this is the time to strike. So like I said, I wasn't for drafting JaMarr Chase at the top 5 spot. I am all about going and trying to get JaMarr Chase right now, especially with all the injuries to these receiving cores. You could probably pair up 2 mid-tier pieces to go get him.
That's true. That's true. You and I both faded him at his ADP. But listen, the draft is over, right? The ADP, all that shit's out the window. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where you win leagues. The draft is setting you up, but the in-game, during the season, how you're managing and how you're managing your team is how you're going to win leagues. So great points on that. I'm all for buying Chase right now because those blow-up games will come. You just want to buy a pre-blow-up game and post-blow-up game. So, but his running mate, my buy low, and this is somebody I drafted in every goddamn league, and he's been pissing me off. But it's T. Higgins, man. I cannot lose faith in T. Cannot lose faith. He hasn't seen the field yet. He may miss one more game too. But listen, when I tell you, when these guys hit their stride, in large part, it's because T is there. When T's there, JaMarr Chase doesn't have as much coverage. They roll out. When T's there, Joe Burrow is able to be his full self. T. Higgins, brother, he has a history of missing games, but yet he'll miss like 2 or 3 games a season and still have 1,000 yards, still have almost 8 to 10 touchdowns. So you got to factor in T's playing for a contract as well. Right now, that owner that owns T is frustrated. Look at my eyes. I'm frustrated. But I'm telling you right now, you can see the pain in these eyes. But now I'm going to tell you like this. Listen, when T's healthy and he's getting healthy, get healthy, T is going to be a locked-in wide receiver too. Yeah. He's going to have huge weeks. He's going to have highlight reel 40-yard bomb touchdowns where he's jumping over people. They target T a lot in the red zone as well. T is somebody, when healthy, somebody that would benefit you, somebody that you want on your team. And if you can get T right now for the low, and you can have him as like your flex or your wide receiver 3, that is powerful. That makes your team extremely strong at the wide receiver position. So although he's been burning me early on this season, T's some dude you want.
T is a dude you want.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, there's a few pause, but pause. Let me say it like that. Pause.
I've been trying not to, bro. I'm like, we too old for this shit, bro. Sometimes you just come out, bro. It's like, damn, P. You know, with T at the end of the day, man, he's one of those players where you like, you know, the upside's there. And where you draft him, you talked about this ADP stuff for JaMarr Chase. I think this applies even more with T. Higgins because you're like, I drafted him to be a wide receiver 3. Yeah. But sometimes the player that you draft, you're not drafting them, you're not getting them at that cost because of their weekly value. You're getting that because of the risk factor baked in. When T. Higgins is on the field, he's better than a wide receiver 3. Yeah. And you can get him much cheaper than that in almost any league. The only problem is if you're able to put him on IR, chances are that person that has him is already cool with him being on IR. But if you're in a league, especially where they don't have an IR slot, handle that. Handle that, man. I talked about holdouts affecting players, which T. Higgins might be a little slow to start too. But I talked about holdouts affecting players, and obviously Brandon Aiyuk was one of the main pieces of that holdout, the whole conversation. Brandon Aiyuk is a buy low for me right now, though. Obviously coming back from being out, limited reps, getting up to speed, whatever you want to call it. We haven't seen peak Aiyuk, the Aiyuk that deserved $30 million. We have not seen that yet. We have seen the Aiyuk that looks like he fleeced the 49ers as of right now. It looks like he stole money from us. That's what it looked like. But I think we're at a spot here where Deebo Samuel is out now for a few weeks. So we know Deebo is going to be gone. This is when the team's going to be relying on Brandon Aiyuk, for better or for worse. This is why you pay a Brandon Aiyuk. You've had a couple weeks now to get up to speed. But I talked about it. Seeing is believing. Whoever has Aiyuk right now still views him as a back end to mid-tier wide receiver too. It's going to be tough for them to think, I have a top 15 guy with Brandon Aiyuk. They're going to be thinking more wide receiver too. I would be looking to go get Aiyuk wherever you could, because during this stretch and even moving after that, he is going to be an elite fantasy asset. Brandon Aiyuk, think about it. He's been a top 15 guy in a limited role where he doesn't get a whole lot of targets, where he sees 1,300 yards on 75 receptions. This number is about to go up in a major way over the next few weeks, as he has to be a bigger part of the offense. If you can get Brandon Aiyuk now, before we see him on the field this week, I think you're getting yourself at least a top 12 receiver for the time that Deebo Samuel's out. Go get Brandon Aiyuk and get him right now at mid-tier to back-end wide receiver 2 price. I think it's a hell of a value.
Listen, you see the Niner helmet in the back, right? Now, the one thing about Brandon Aiyuk, I will say this, as a Niners fan, it's different when there's no other wide receiver that they have to cue in on, right? So with no Deebo, the logic is Brandon Aiyuk should eat. But with defenses rolling his way, him still seemingly knocking the rust off, how confident are you he's going to return over the course of these next 3 weeks? Wide receiver, the top 15 wide receiver numbers, because it's different. He's still got to knock rust off. Defense is now going to be rolling his way. I mean, talk to me about that.
For me, it's a no-brainer. Like, in order to move the football right now without Christian McCaffrey, you have to go with Brandon Aiyuk. So whether it's the number one corner on him, he sees number one corners anyway. Deebo never sees number one corners. Half the time he's playing out the damn backfield. So we know that's the case, but we get 100-yard games out of Brandon Aiyuk when he sees 8 targets. We get 100-yard games when he's the focal point of the offense. And now, who else does Aiyuk have to throw it to? Juwan Jennings? George Kittle maybe sees a little bit more involvement. The offense, the best player, the reason why you pay a guy $30 million, this is where you test that. You test that for this reason. And Aiyuk, to me, bro, it's a no-brainer when it comes to him, man. Like, maybe he has a game where he's 5 catches for 70 yards, but you better believe during this stretch while Deebo's out, he's going to have 8 catch, 120-yard touchdown day. It will happen. Like the consistent theme of this when it comes to buy lows. Once we see it, it's a wrap for the value. That establishes the new floor.
I love it. Love it. You're getting me pumped. Yeah. I rock with Aiyuk, boy. I rock with Aiyuk, man. I'm trying to tell you, dog. But, somebody who I have not rocked with is, I don't have this guy in any leagues. I'm going to tell you like this. The buy low, and, believe it or not, this guy is the lowest of the lows. Deontay Johnson, right? They paid Deontay Johnson bread, or they traded for him and he was already getting paid bread. They brought him in because they need that wide receiver 1. Through 2 weeks, This dude has 7 fantasy points, 5 receptions for 34 yards. Like when you talk about buy low, now I don't know what they did to that QB, the first round QB, your boy Bryce, little ass Bryce. They didn't have Kyler in there, man. It's little ass Bryce. Listen,
you said my boy.
Yeah, hey, don't let me get on you, bro. Don't let me get on you. But Bryce is out of the picture now. You got an established veteran in Andy Dalton entering the picture. His value is going to go up, especially in PPR leagues. They brought him in to be the guy. They brought him in to be their number one. So far, he hasn't. But best believe with an adequate quarterback play, you're going to see those numbers return. So obviously right now he's down in the dumps. If you can get him for extremely low value, but if you can have him be your flex wide receiver or just in your flex spot, then that is a huge win because he's going to be returning top 25 wide receiver numbers. If you get in 3 wide receiver sets plus a flex, you have that in your flex. That's a huge dub. Right 20? Now you can top 25.
Top 25. Damn, that's heavy, man, for Deontay.
Yeah, in PPR leagues, bro. That's what they brought his ass in to do. You know what I'm saying? Like
I think they brought him in to do that, but we ain't seen it. He's had, you know what I'm saying, Bryce throwing to him, but like it's not like Deontay Johnson. There's a reason you've been down on him. Like he's not great. Like he's just an average, mediocre player, and you get an average, mediocre quarterback coming to this team now with Andy Dalton. What you think? You think Deontay is gonna like change shit up? Like I just don't see that.
I think Deontay, bro, they're gonna be playing from behind, right? Now they have somebody
playing from behind.
But they've been playing from behind with noodle-ass Bryce. It's a difference, bro. Bryce, as good as he was in college, he has not shown that. Maybe he's putting too much on him. Maybe he's just scared. Maybe he's just too little for the game. But Andy Dalton, adequate quarterback, adequate height. But I'm telling you, listen, Deontay Johnson, look, 5 catches through the first 2 weeks. He's going to average at least 6 to 7 catches a game moving forward with Andy Dalton. Put some bread on that and go buy that right now. Don't give me that.
I'm gonna be buying a new jersey with that money. If we make that bet. I hear you though. I think it goes for a lot of these Carolina players. They're gonna have a little bit more potential with this offense, just moving the ball downfield a little bit better. Last buy low receiver I got, George Pickens, and this is a player that I've talked extensively about. It's been a Justin Fields experiment. And I think just him trying to work into like, am I starting? Am I not? Am I making the right moves? Am I not? Like it's kind of been a learning experience for Justin Fields, in my opinion, and 2 really lower scoring games that these Steelers have had, you know, obviously against the Falcons in week 1. And then last week, obviously against the Broncos. I think George Pickens is a player that he'll see better days. And you're thinking of him right now, I drafted him early, high expectations. Justin, you talked about 1,300-yard ceiling. Maybe we don't get that immediately, but there's going to be some mega games out of George Pickens, especially once Justin Fields gets a little bit more comfortable, or we see Russ. Or we see Russ back in here. So I think this is Justin Fields' team for now until he makes a mistake. But I think you can still lock in better days for George Pickens, who had a decent day against Atlanta and then didn't really play well against the Broncos. So buy low as him. If you can get him at like back end wide receiver 3 value, I think now's a good time to buy Pickens because it's always the disappointment that sells. I drafted this guy to be this. He ended up being this. That's why we go get Pickens.
Yeah, poor performances, but I really do think Russ is going to take over because they got, 1 touchdown?
Yeah, they got to get more points, but they're winning. But
I ain't trying to hear that, man. They got 1 touchdown on the year. Yeah. As soon as Russ is healthy and as soon as Russ takes over, look, Russ and Pickens, to me, I think that's a match made in heaven. Russ's beautiful deep ball, Pickens burning and the deep ball catch, being able to. I ain't gonna pause myself.
I saw you thinking through that.
I was like, I ain't gonna say that.
You was thinking through that one.
I was like, whoa, let me chill. But no, I like that. If Russ is there, I'm buying low. If Russ ain't in, I don't know that I'm buying low, bro. I do not know. But speaking of buying low, I mean that my last guy that my last wide receiver that I'm buying low on is Michael Pittman Jr. Look,
What?
Michael Pittman Jr. I have not been a Michael Pittman Jr. guy. Not been a Michael Pittman guy all off season.
That's
right?
crazy.
But
I have.
I know you have. And Lou, I mean, where's that gotten you, Brad? That you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
It's been hurting.
Same place everybody else right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you like this. You know, a lot of wide receivers are down, but Michael Pittman Jr., I've not been high on him, but like we talked about, the draft is in the past. And where there's value, there's value. And I'm about $1. So Michael Pittman Jr., 7 catches through the first 2 games, only 7 catches. Now get this. This is on 15 targets. You got 7 catches on 15 targets. That number has got to come up. That efficiency will come up. Michael Pittman just got the bag this offseason. So you have to assume that they're going to game plan to work him in, especially when other things are sputtering, right? Now, granted, he's had a tough matchup against those Green Bay DBs because they are some dogs, especially playing in man. And Michael Pittman, that separation's never really been there, but he's not going to be playing them all the time. Pittman, you know, he went against Stingley, and then he went against, like I mentioned, the Green Bay corner. So his numbers are going to bounce back. Right now, he only has 52 yards on the season. Now, they didn't pay him so that Alex Pierce can go off. Trust me, Alex Pierce is not going to be the wide receiver one. It's going to be Pittman. Right now, get him while he's low. And yeah, he's going to return. He's going to return. He's got 12 fantasy points on the season. So
he'll be back.
Yeah, that's your boy, dog. That's your boy.
He'll bounce back. I just don't know, like, at cost where we're gonna go with him. You know, like, when you say buy low, like, are you assuming he'll be back in like the top 15 wide receiver category? Or are you calling him a buy low because you think right now you can get him as a wide receiver 4? Like, what constitutes buy low for you? Are you playing the ceiling, or are you just playing his current value?
So I'm right now his current, like, right now everybody. What's being displayed on TV when you're watching the game, they're looking at Anthony Richardson and they're looking at him as if he's like not a high completion type of guy, which it's not looking too good right now. And Michael Pittman doesn't profile as what the first 2 weeks have shown us. So in the perception of the owner, they're thinking, man, Michael Pittman's not that fast, bro. Man, he's not going out and catching all these deep rocks, bro. So what really is he? If I could sneak in their mind, because last year, Anthony Richardson was really peppering Michael Pittman, and the PPR game was there for the first few games that we're in, right? So I see him more as that. I see him not being in the dumps, right? A lot of wide receivers are, but I see him not being in the dumps. I see him returning like top 20 wide receiver value.
That's
right?
not
top
bad.
20.
Yeah.
That's not bad
that's
at all.
Not bad. If I had Pittman, though, I'd be one to, like, if I was going to sell him, it'd be for more than that. It's just I don't think he's going to be terrible. It's just tough to let go of a player who's still seeing 7.5 targets a game, and it's tough to believe in a player that's getting the most erratic targets thrown his way. Like, it's just not. It's not there. It's not.
But that's you, Jay. That's you. You've been doing this for a long time. You go to other people, they're like, over the first 2 weeks, he has 7 catches. Alec Pierce is cooking. Alex Pierce has like what, 4 catches on the year, like 5 catches on the year, something like that.
I think it's a little more than that, but yeah, I get what your point is though.
But like the average player, or you know what I'm saying, like you're not going. A shark's not going to go to a shark and try to buy low, right? That conversation just doesn't go anywhere. But there are people who are struggling in this fantasy climate right now with injuries and with everything. They're looking how are they going to improve their team. If the Michael Pittman owner drafted him where they drafted him, along with the injuries, I guarantee you that team is not doing good right now. They're either 1-1 or 0-2 with some really extremely low fantasy points, and they're thinking how are they going to improve. Man, I gotta do something fast before it's too late. That's the player you want to take advantage of.
Let me ask you this, right? So if we're talking about value, who would you rather have, Michael Pittman or Brian Thomas?
Moving forward, and I would rather have Michael Pittman.
Who would you rather have, Michael Pittman or Zay Flowers?
I'm not a Zay Flowers guy. I'd rather have Pittman.
Who would you rather have, Michael Pittman or JSN?
I would rather have Michael Pittman than JSN.
Rather have Michael Pittman or Jameson Williams?
I would rather have Michael Pittman than Jim. You got to give me some better ones, bro. I'd rather have Michael Pittman.
Shit, I'm going to Michael Pittman or Marvin Harrison.
You see, look, this is a good one. Michael Pittman or Marvin Harrison. Michael Pittman may, moving forward, have a safer floor. I do anticipate inconsistencies with Marvin Harrison, but Marvin Harrison's boom weeks are there. Marvin Harrison's boom weeks are going to be there because Marvin is boom quarter, bro. Damn. Yeah. He has all of his fantasy stats in one quarter, and he's top 15. Ain't that about a bitch? But listen, bro. I know, dog. I know that's the landscape that we're dealing with. We're here to educate you guys on how to navigate through this weird ass landscape through the first 2 weeks. And so, to answer that question, I think I would rather have Marvin Harrison Jr. than a Michael Pittman, just for the consistency of from the quarterback position.
Last one, Malik Neighbors, who's the wide receiver 3 right now.
Listen, bro. Malik Neighbors is probably a sell high, but Malik Neighbors is getting peppered just as much as Michael Pittman, but he's doing something with the rock, bro. He's doing something with that rock, dog. Yeah. It's funny because Michael Pittman is like one of those players. When you look at it, there's nobody else on that offense, right? There's nobody, not even a quarterback. There's nobody else on that offense. So Malik Neighbors, there's nobody else on that offense, especially at quarterback. They're going to feed him the rock because right now he is the heart of that team. And in New York, where the lights are the brightest, they need a star. So they're going to do what they can to make him a star. So for that reason, I'm taking Malik Neighbors.
All right. So he's kind of fringe wide receiver, probably top 15, 20 receiver free fringe area. But at the end of the day, if you can buy Michael Pittman and he can return top 20 value, it's a dub for you. Mm-hmm.